Now, former Commissioner of Shraj, Justice Francis Emil Short, has called on President Akufo-Addo to crack the whip on state agencies not cooperating with a special prosecutor. Now, speaking on the key point, he described as unfortunate lamentations by Martin Amidu that he is not getting the needed cooperation from some key state agencies.
It's unfortunate that he's experiencing lack of cooperation and collaboration from heads of public institutions, because fighting corruption should be a collaboration among all stakeholders, particularly heads of institutions.
Right.
You know, so I think that is something that is unfortunate. However, I think that he does have powers under the Act to compel production of documents and attendance of witnesses. And my experience at Shraj was that normally if we send a letter requesting information or inviting someone to appear before us and they don't, then we might send a reminder, but after the first or second reminder, then we invoke our powers under the law,
right.
You know. Under the Special Prosecutors Act, failure to respond to such a request, it's a criminal offense. And so there is provision for him to invoke his powers under the law. But as I said, that's an unfortunate situation. And I think the executive also, so far as some of these institutions are under the executive must crack the whip on the heads of those institutions who are not cooperating with the special prosecutor. The other concerns he raises about institutions that are conducting concurrent investigations into cases that he's
looking into.
That also should not be the case, apart from the fact that it's a waste of public resources. You know, it's unproductive.
But Mr. Short, wasn't that one of the issues that was raised earlier on when the bill was being considered, you know, for passage into an act? I mean, looking at the overlapping roles between or among the institutions mandated by law to, you know, even before the OSP came into being. You're looking at Shraj, for instance, you're looking at EOCO, you're looking at the AG's office, all these institutions where then the overlapping nature of their roles came up. But the idea back then was that it's been done in a way that would ensure that the OSP's role is highly, you know, very much set aside, so we know exactly what his remits are, what his scope is, and so there shouldn't be that overlap. So if we're seeing that happen now, how should we interpret that?
When I was at Shraj, we had a memorandum of understanding with EOCO as to what type of cases Shraj should deal with and what type of cases EOCO should deal with. We dealt with conventional corruption involving public officers. EOCO is a public, it focuses on specialized areas, fraud, bank fraud, you know, cyber fraud, money laundering, and so on. And even though sometimes they get involved in corruption by public officials, by and large, the line of demarcation was quite well settled. So in this particular case, I believe that all these institutions must come together and discuss, have a memorandum of understanding, and they should be able to collaborate with one another and make sure that, you know, such overlaps are dealt with and each institution knows, you know, where its remit lies. Now, you would see that from the Special Prosecutors Act, public procurement, for example, is mentioned specifically. So if it's a case of public procurement, especially involving high public officials, it is obvious that it is a matter that should be left for the Special Prosecutor, unless for some reason the Special Prosecutor decides that it should be handled by some other agency. But there should be some understanding